Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again for being present here with us here today. You will be streamed here on YouTube at Navajo Technical University. Also, will be live broadcast on KCCY 107.3 FM. Also, on your respective candidates' social media platforms via Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. We welcome every single one of you here to Navajo Technical University. My name is Wilbur Stowe, and I'll be serving as your MC here today, this evening. Sos egol kilkot a pinnacle sheya ada netole tana zeledan nelgo aro sheya negate sos ebigidas Kansas sheya tatil kartole eya ajbedos nitole abatseri at adigido absentee voting eya tonha adat high sheya dao aiki negatas ango negakeda ango adi sheya bandano tadole to eya benda idol kedole ahot ago eya kudo nihil astani na anonisla dole tonda da eya kudo eya hahatol jish. So there's an linigi acha edita eya bana altel. So there's an linigi eya kudo pe anal e. Kudo eya shanale Mr. Wilson Gilmore eya kudo she eya hagatole. Aronda eya so there's an linigi she kudo na ile tole. Di eya di konigit sel can linigi eya di kwa ultra eya dan jahiki ajik it is e. Haisha eya Mr. Wilson Gilmore bahida kud.
Yat kilch hazli hodano kashi hodinago a kondekwa ni kadil was nigo so the zenigibe adol ni. I think that's the most precious thing that we can do is open every event with a prayer. Sheot latnat I ako ado shinat ani heshi Not anito nakado leligi anolto ekelt shesaz nido ekelt an khansas kis nakhada tol nido bede no khankinch ako eben nashe eya to khanen shla to het lini bashchin ado to de chine tashnal lezaslane etashche but ewa bena hot elzano nado le shito nil keta Ako enash neshato katra traza tanakhe aro ton le tzeching kits il da hachna ade the chapter president shla ako ba hajone gate ego ade shidane sasoli ako even na sheikh asha ajani ya okende let's all stand ya and all the participants pending the forum let's all rise and respect our Almighty God. Kodoshin katsodazambe adatilni. Ekelani hitin God. Amen.
You may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Shanale kudo solazan linige eya kudo nakabe ain la ahot eya di tenne be hokan for ida bandil te got solazan eya alsa e ajbe anal e don da eya be eya yat e ko to hojon eya ata ina toles ta hayan to ta ski big etasti obenachen. At this time, it is my pleasure to welcome here up to the stage the President of Navajo Technical University, Dr. Elmer Guy, who will provide us our welcoming address. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Elmer Guy.
Yate trasi lo shike shidende shastri Sazani in the cage again. Here land hano yadon get one also. Good evening. Don't end slinigi e ya nanish. Nanish ejetapa my dishkijni e bashish chain. To het lini e dashanale. Torichini dashiche. On behalf of the Navajo Technical University Student Senate, it is my honor and privilege to welcome each and every one of you to this Navajo Nation Presidential Forum. We extend a warm and respectful welcome to our 14 Navajo Nation presidential candidates that are here with us this evening. Thank you for accepting the invitation to be here today and for your willingness to serve our nation. Running for public office requires courage, commitment, and a deep sense of responsibility. We appreciate each of you for offering your time, your ideas, and your vision for the future of the Navajo people. We also extend a heartfelt welcome to our distinguished community leaders, elected officials, faculty, staff, elders, veterans, students, families, and community members. Your presence reflects the importance of civic engagement and demonstrates that the future of Navajo Nation is strengthened when we come to listen, learn, and engage in respectful dialogue. We are especially pleased to welcome those joining us this venue. Today's forum is being streamlined, allowing viewers across the Navajo Nation and beyond to participate in this important conversation. We also extend our appreciation to KCZY Radio for broadcasting and helping share today's discussion with listeners throughout our communities. Whether you are with us here in person, watching online, or listening on the radio, thank you for being part of this important event. To our students, this forum is an opportunity to witness leadership in action. Your voices matter, your questions matter, and your participation today is part of building the future of our nation. We encourage you to listen carefully, think critically, and remain engaged in the democratic process. Today's forum is not about endorsing one candidate or another over another. It is about providing a respectful and platform where every candidate has an equal opportunity to share their vision, discuss issues facing the Navajo Nation, and answer questions that matter to our people. We ask everyone in attendance, as well as those joining us through our live stream and radio broadcasts, to uphold the values of respect, dignity, and fairness throughout this event. As the Neh people, we are guided by the principles of Keh, respect, responsibility, and Hojon, living in harmony and striving for balance. These teachings remind us that even when perspectives differ, we can come together with mutual respect and work toward the shared goal of a stronger, healthier, and more prosperous Navajo Nation. We extend our sincere gratitude to Navajo Technical University for supporting civic and public engagement. We also recognize the Student Senate, our planning committee, moderators, volunteers, technical support staff, ZY Radio, our live stream production team, and everyone had made has made today's forum possible. To our candidates, thank you once again for joining us. Days to the primary elections. Auto campaign workers, take care of your candidates. So, and to our audience, whether here with us, watching online, or listening by radio, thank you for investing your time in the future of our nation. Welcome to Navajo Technical University. Welcome to the Navajo Nation Presidential Forum, and let's have a productive forum. Thank you very much.
Khaisa nana ni na tsani ko ni ke old tribe na jil what ki be ehos ni ki ya bahinala kana President Elmer Guy there. Thank you. Tonight is my pleasure to introduce you to our moderators who will be moderating tonight's discussion and will guide tonight's discussion and explain each round as we go along and ensure equal speaking opportunities to every candidate. Please welcome our moderators, Watson, Garquita Harrison, Marquita Nez, and our timekeeper, Mr. Jonathan Dennison. These are your Student Senate representatives as well as advisor who had placed and put this whole forum together. So let's give them a big round of applause there. Among the crowd, I also want to recognize faculty members, staff, and administration of NTU. Please stand and give a wave. Students, please stand and give a wave. At this time, I'll be introducing each candidate for tonight's forum. From Shiprock Chapter, Alexander Chambers. Please stand as I call your name and give a wave. For the first time, the audience is seeing you all here today. From Hawk Chapter, Andrew Curley. From Solani Conwood Chapter, Crystalline Curley. From Klagatoa Chapter, Debbie Nez Manuel. From Chichahua Chapter, Frank Dayish Jr. From Tonahali Chapter, Dr. Jordan DeGay. From St. Michael's Chapter, Myron Weiser. From Gadi'a Chapter, Arvin Trujillo. From Red Mesa Chapter, Dr. Boone Nygren. From Herfield Chapter, Donovan DeGay. From Chichahua Chapter, Emily Ellison. From Rock Point Chapter, Justin Jones. From Nayuzi Chapter, Johnny Russell Jr. Chapter, Mr. Tom Chi. Those are your candidates for the 2016 Navajo Nation presidential candidates here. Let's give them another round of applause here. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our moderators. Our moderators for tonight will explain all the guidelines for tonight's discussion. Moderators?
Yat e bene. It's not warning. Yat e. Candidate rules. Candidates are respectfully asked to observe the following guidelines. Each candidate will receive the same amount of speaking time. During round 1 and 2, each response is limited to 3 minutes. During round 3, each response is limited to 2 minutes. When time expires, microphones will automatically be muted. Please answer only the question presented. No interruptions while other candidates is speaking. Personal attacks, defamatory remarks, or inappropriate language are prohibited. Candidates should remain towards one another throughout the forum. Audience guidelines. To ensure a respectful and productive event, everyone in attendance to observe the following. Please silence all cell phones. Applause is welcome. However, demonstration, chanting, booing, and disruptions are not permitted. No signs, banners, or campaign material may be displayed inside. Audience members may not interrupt candidates or moderators. Anyone creating a disruption may be asked to leave. We appreciate everyone's cooperation in maintaining a respectful environment for all participants. It is my pleasure to introduce. Thank you. Good evening. It is an honor to serve as tonight's moderator. Tonight, each presidential candidate has accepted the invitation to participate under the same rules and equal speaking opportunities. As each candidate's name is called, we may ask they stand and greet the audience. Candidates are allowed 2 minutes for introductions. Arvin Trujillo, may you please stand.
Just so our candidates know, the time clock is right here, so we'll pay attention to our time clock. At the end, your time has expired, your mic will be cut off, and there will be a buzzer. Timekeepers, can we hear the buzzer? That is your cue that your time is up and your microphone will be off.
Thank you very much. My name is Arvin Trujillo. I'm from Fruitland, New Mexico. I've been married to my wife, Cynthia Trujillo, for 43 years. I've got 3 grown children. They all have their undergraduate degree and 2 have their master's degree. You know, both my wife and I are Christians, and we raised our kids in a stable home environment. And in that environment, we challenged our kids to reach their potential, in many cases, how to exceed them. For myself, did my undergraduate work at Oral Roberts University, got a degree in biochemistry. Did my graduate work at Penn State University, got my degree in mineral processing and mining. Again, there are 3 areas I'm really focused on as I move forward. We're looking at 1, restoring the working relationship of our government. 2, work with our government employees and staff to bring back customer focus attitude, where program services and support are provided in a timely manner. And to build a stronger economy to fund our government operations, diversify our economy, and bring new economic opportunities that will bring our young people home, to bring our best and our brightest home. So again, we're looking at how we can begin to look at our potential, and I see tremendous potential within our government as well as within our working relationships with those around us. And looking at the opportunities that we have before us, there are tremendous opportunities that we can take advantage of today. So again, Arvin Trujillo, position number 3. We'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Candidate Frank Dayish.
Turned it off already. Hello, this is Frank Days Jr. I'm from Shiprock, New Mexico, and Bataninchla. Ashkan Zahoy, that's a zero knock, the nay, that's a null touchini, that's a che. Sheltonation here that, Arabic Snani, but this kill, this the Nova on Nast in Hinache. Aron, that's a che, Yajdo Hullo, but not only Nez the Kewit, Idon and the Shidelia, other Kuyoshis are that, Aqua has Anige, Totaja, Hot has Anje, Aron, that New Mexico State. At the University of Maryland, Aros a lot so you hide and catching that is anige, in each and does bage, nastud so, just so, now get so, Aja has anige, she tashed, but Yaishan on the Shishla, Aja, Aro this change, Nana, Yaha, Bende, the Shiba had that eat the hige. Yaha 80 not Atzaga, Zanj that is not so the clear days snell. When that is expelled, and again, not so next sauce, Dinach, yet our resolution. Attend the white out the Shabbat and Nista. That's the Haja Assazin, the white out the Anneta, Abes expels and other hustle. A quaggy Yaha in the Hunda deal, Nis, Tantabadil, what? I don't die, Yaha, not a Nistole. A cohort, Albany, na equal the Nebuchad or what? The ice on how yosna, up the decodata and Albany na. So what are your idiot all just this shade? Or what are ye could all others street or less? I run away, Churchill cutted out that carry it. The AI need lean dark, Frank Days Jr., number 6, Quintasetta, share that that is Nish.
Candidate Andrew Curley.
Ya'at Crown Point, Navajo Nation. Ya'at it is good to be here. The late Albert Hale told me that is how we think about that word, and I want to extend that to all of you here. It's good to be in your presence. It's good to be here thinking about these issues are very important. They're critical for our nation. It's good to be among all of our candidates here. I appreciate your presence and your ideas. We are here to make an important decision. We're here to make a decision about the future of the Navajo Nation for the next 4 years. It's not just about the ideas that we talk about here. It's about temperament. It's about tone. How well can anyone this office, this very important office of the Office of President, Vice President, for the next 4 years? We're kind of in the midst of the glitz and the glamour. But in 2 years and 3 years, which one of us do you think has the ability to govern and to be there to make the important decisions that are going to face the Navajo Nation? We are met here at Navajo Technical University, where we have 1,700 students between here and Dene College campus. This place, the Crown Point community, can be an educational hub for the future. We ought to build this up. We need to really emphasize Crown Point as a place where we do education, where we build on the great foundation that you as a staff and you as faculty and you as students have built here at NTU over the years. It's been wonderful to see over the last years. I'm running on a platform of 4 major issues. Number 1, land reform by 2030. We really need to get our land working. We are in the midst of crisis of climate change. We're in the midst of problems with permits and infighting among families. Let's get that taken care of. Number 2, let's reduce the cost of government. OPVP is too expensive. Let's bring that cost down. Number 3, no new mining. Eastern Navajo is where they want to do in situ leach mining. Dota. Number 4, sustainable development. Yeah.
Candidate Emily Ellison.
Hey, Crown Point. Good to come out here in the rain a little bit. Coming through. She na kiden enslin. Halsoy bashish chin kia ane da she do betani da shanale. Le Manuelito do Ejelska John Tranch da nasha. I have education in business, finance, economics, and have spent a large amount of time internationally. The future is ours as Navajo people. We're a young nation, we're a young government, we have resources, we have talented people, we have minerals that in our land that belong to us. Our government is young. Our government is less than 100 years old. That's the white man's government. Your three-branch government. Let me tell you something about your three-branch government. It requires conflict. So, we can't hide behind that. Each branch has to do their job to be effective. Right now, that's not happening. Corruption is hiding behind, They're saying, don't be upset, don't be angry. Well, at what point do you say is enough? At what point do you take your government back? Do crooks and people who abuse and misuse our money deserve our respect? That's a question for you voters. If that's what you want, don't vote for me. If you want a government that works for you and gives it back to you, then I'm standing right here telling you I will give you your rights and we will have a prosperous future. Thank you.
Candidate Debbie Nez Manuel.
She Sanja Kinenshle, Tana Betting, Bashes Chin, Setna Jenny Dashache, Trabahan Dashanella, Lay Tode, Isadet Nasha. Thank you to all of our veterans who are in the room, Akiha and Tkago, to all of our public safety that are here, and to the students for organizing this event, Akiha. 4 pillars that I want to focus on as I go into the administration is to physical responsibility and accountability includes management reform, cultural accountability, making sure that we understand concepts, infrastructure investment, like here at NTU, intergovernmental advocacy. These are really, really heavy words, but they're really critical when we're talking about our students and about our future. Every child from Head Start to college deserves to be proud of who they are. And it happens in education. It happens starting at home. We want our students and our communities to be fluent in cultural concepts. If that means speaking the language, to making moccasins, to creating bows and arrows, to picking medicinal plants, we want our students and our families to know. We also want to be proficient in academic skills, being able to read, write, and comprehend information in our classrooms. We also want to be able to lead into the next 7 generations. Some of the challenges we see today in our administration really impact our students, no matter where they're going to school, either on the nation or off the nation. This is not just some agenda that I want to accomplish. I'm really, really thinking about Allah Ashlai and who they are and what they mean. This here is the true work of sovereignty and self-determination, and I'm looking forward to serving you in the office of the President.
Candidate Myron Lizer.
Oh, yat do yeah, shikedo shidene, shay Myron Lizer yinishia, Comanche nishle twa on a bush's chin, do Comanche dashache, asha dashanelli. It's great to be here. Yat NTU Skyhawks. I want to take this time to recognize my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who gives me the ability to be here. Without him, I would be nothing. I graduated from the School of Hard Knocks. I've flunked, I've crashed, and I've almost died, and I'm still here to the Lord's glory. I want to thank my wife, my beautiful wife, Dottie. 35 years, and we have 3 adult kids, and we're all in business. And it's for that reason that I'm running for president. I want some of you, not all of you, some of you that have the fortitude to be business owners. It's not for everybody. Everybody wants to be a business owner, but the fortitude is what we really need to find out. But other than that, those that can't be business owners, I want to help propel us into the next echelon of world leadership on the world stage. And so I want to take this time to give a shout out to Victoria of Victoria's Pizza. That pizza is fine. I want to give a shout out to Heart Butte. Heart Butte, are you in the house? All right, there's a few of you out here. I see y'all. I feel you. And so I feel like Navajo could be a world leader in a post-pandemic world. And I have a lot of ideas on how we can make that happen, but it requires a lot of leadership. It requires the incoming 26th Navajo Nation Council, which I promise I will work with. I will bend over backwards. I will compromise. I will work until like nobody's business, because it's all of our business. And when you make Myron Leiser the next president of the Navajo Nation, I promise you, I will work like there is no tomorrow to make sure that our nation advances. So, Sherry, Myron Leiser, position 1, look no further. Yeah, no.
Candidate Tom Chi.
Yat shikero shidana. It has addition kono yado nihinen loe nakhana no tadina tani. Biniyade ini jehigi halet an sada kesto halet aben dahat ala dano sonche kono so en kichba hensen ado hehe ade de stone de ko nihina hiso sta hehe Tom Chi. As I was sitting here thinking, I'm on the campus of one of our universities of Navajo Nation. I will allow myself to speak some language in English just to feel like I'm on the campus of NTU. What a privilege to Banses kesto ben yesht ini khayt Navajo Nation not ani it legal but khaz anigi chido ilko aya ehgo do ata hot no tsedego khodo I night ito les khayt be eta do nesi joy ban sa kesko at ela. You know, our land, our culture, our laws of the Navajo Nation is what's going to take us to rebuild and mold into the next Navajo Nation. How do we use our language, our culture, our land base? That gives us the strength. We shouldn't be negotiating from the English perspective. We should negotiate from our strength based on our history, the long language that we have before the existence of other cultures and the existence of structured government. So I think we're able to do that by using our language and our culture. We should never apologize for being Navajo. Thank you.
Candidate Justin Jones.
Yat shikado shidenedo shelkhasinglo yat nikidini dolil shide yapet ahnidone enschle khatnes zahnebashchin Kilchin Edashido, a she, Edashinale, Adot Sensades, Ahol, Yehedo Enasha, Rock Point, Arizona. Adon Day, Sanfinash, Enigido Hello, Hati Nova Ash, Latoba, and Hastran de Zip, I Kilkidini now. Alchinin, Linigit Khab Yahwil, Salkain, Linigina, Kiddled Edo, Chikain, Lini Saddled, I got Annie Hedalia, DJ, I got Adon Hilchas Anigit Ago in the Jonagot a Contil, Adon de Nasala, a what Ago the Beholo, Slay Bekashi Holo, in Lady, what are they who one, a what Ade Chishike, Nana Shamado Shijedo, Hilkit now, Kahanishida, just Hati Nache, Ade Chishike, a Kodi Quet the Nebenant, Quet or Le Adot Le, Liki, a Kot Ago, Quedenal Sosia, in the Sile. We have been going non-stop for more than 90 days. In 13 days, we are faced with a question here now. You are faced with a question. Do you stay on this same road of corruption? Do you stay on this same road of doing nothing, of talking about it? That's the question to you. Or are you willing to take that risk now and to say, no more No more corruption. That's the challenge I'm giving to you as voters. Are you willing to change things up? Are you willing to do complete change? That's the question to you.
Candidate Crystalline Curley.
Oh, yat kadosha wet she yaja ashine. Adoshik eno thinigi, she Crystalline Curley nishya. Ado senja kitten nishle. Tko headlini bashish chin. Kia ani dashiche do tiltka kia ani dashanale with amato sanjle. Ado so hanebiyado adet nasha from Fish Point, Arizona. I'm also serving as a speaker of the 25th Navajo Nation Council. And just going straight to priorities, thank you to our students. You do belong in the government, and you deserve to know answers and provide all the solutions within our government too. That our children are the future of the Navajo Nation. So thank you, students, for putting this forum together. And first of all, my vision for the Navajo Nation, I'm just going to simply put it into 3 steps. First step is creating that integrity back into the office of the president and vice president. We do need to regain the trust of our people. Second is strengthening our families and communities. We don't want to see all the services locked up in Window Rock. We want to see those services back within our homes, back into our rural communities, back at our chapters, back at our schools, and back into our senior centers. That is second, because an executive branch is a direct service-oriented branch. Third, first and foremost, we have to include our children back into our government. We have to create a framework. We have to create a movement to bring our children home. So it is their time. It is their time to be part of our solutions.
Candidate Alexander Chambers.
Yate she Alexander Chambers in Shekuro. Ahia Queen Hadaho Shekado Lini Kuro. We are at a time, a pivotal time of transition. We are at a time of change. So it is time for you guys to make that initiative. Nahat ayat egi big do saya ade had no sel do ade njgono yelta nah do jisha ajash e huda hot ende yat egi bit hand dika ya shik eno sini oko dishi ol ya nahat abet zid what sotogunt don't ego ya hajugo lada dika ora jide shah oko we are at that time shikeno sini and sahoshi bayana de kedole but quite art is any we are all from one community, and it is that hope, that opportunity, that we, regardless of the leadership you select, regardless of who you go with, Ecuador, regardless of all these things, these challenges that we face, we will move forward as a nation.
Candidate Boo Nygren.
Yat gidini ano ten honda hano songi masana do che do nala hit oshibi kehegi when catching the shidain so is the hodo hela de cheto hit all of the hatato hagulat kadador nesto ha ila eta ila roti naskon ye da ho agi hashet o chede do liquin so aron da kagi a hehen kedini lo anoten hoda hanosonikim to skahani zinige touchy nin schlep Aronats oze basis chain do todich eat need as a chain on ats oze the chanel a hot or as a tana heromas tande zinat ani nahan slow a hot up never Washington ajet kahun slow do betinash inige badahanosin Jasmine Blackwater Nairgan a large sani yes zodo ya yes kedo gatit ahido nahui ahin lo a hot obana nishiste a aja hashlishnin lido a shihiyas chain do not that hachini of a chair but aneda banale a hot o aron nakachine na kit a kayes hadit ish shlakana banachato kana tabanacha a hot o late set cheetahs can add a yesaha once adlek ade sabagan hot zandina nishil jod not adaban za case or di na khayada on kitato niyago na isis kan din ka Washington at the data skad dia yesekhala hot elo halet ola and that is ni na nation data tenda to no kade ho de dischid analia aro ho de dischid e ha wan da nesle asat me lo ba ahon Because a lot so that khadech ehel in the dekad ykhagi nez not tin oma nez not up ahone lan kislat so hawan banda haidon e hot oshi njono ta ilya thodo tsin sto ya ni tono hota hot enigi the never care of card is it do peso do na nisha na hin tehigi tego hodelia en heda te hehen gdini do les
Candidate Donovan Begay.
Yat she down begin she bears in straight way glini abashin na kadeneta to she to but to chanel okay ego in shle I'm here today to run for the president of the Navajo Nation, just like the rest of my colleagues here or my constituents here, and so it's a very important because of the fact that you're going to make a difference in everybody's life here. Every single person right here, it's going to affect every single one of you. So you just think about who you're going to vote for because of the fact that it's going to be affected maybe 10 years, 20 years into the future. So this is one reason why we're all here. We're all trying to make a difference. And we're not trying to place blame on everybody what's going on with the government right now. But, whatever that happens there, that's how it's going to play out. But from there, our time here is to make sure that we all start brand new with the administration, whoever goes in, and we hope you all make a very good decision. So that's why we're all here. And thank you very much for having us today. This is a very beautiful place, and this is my agency here in Crown Point. So thank you very, very much. Inshallah.
Candidate Dr. Jordan Begay.
Yat shik edos dina adot anatso ya is just natin as ako na aya nast ako na aya Dr. Jordan Begay that the nidoles sa to say ya people 20 eating a kia ani basis chin ya dina tachini edas che adot anasani dasnale Twinning Helita Nasha and the ISDA Nastit on the Hatch Shike, although cut out the Nana other yard in the street. Say the Nebanat Ani ya by your sweat. Good evening, Eastern Navajo Agency. Good evening to everyone that's on our social media lives. I'd like to thank the Navajo Technical University for hosting this forum, for our Student Senate members here for moderating the forum. It's definitely a great place to be able to listen to my fellow candidates here to be your next Navajo Nation President. Please get out on July 21st and vote. I humbly ask for your vote to vote position number 9. But again, it's all up to the voters. I give it to you. Please critique the responses of each of the candidates. Learn their platforms. Why are they running? What are the key considerations for their platform? That's all transparent information that we all should know.
So I come to you humbly from the Western Navajo Agency. I'm the only candidate from Western Navajo Agency, which makes me really excited. I was at home in Tuba City last night and was able to see a lot of my community members, and I came all across the Crown Point. I was in Tahajaway Sunday and Monday, and spent the last 3 weeks here in New Mexico, Councilor Encino. So it's been great. I was the former Deputy Director, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the I've come through your communities with public health nurses. So again, I know the living situation, and I will definitely advocate on behalf as your next Navajo Nation President. Thank you.
Candidate Johnny Russell Jr.
Thank you. Welcome to Eastern Agency. Thank you. I will say Johnny Russell. I will tell you Sunday that she had. I say that she chose international. It's hardly Taylor to now to the others. Now, yes, a carde, but clean and tido, Kayab and Antanisle, line board at Eastern Agency, District 19. A call. Nakayashkin, Adam Lazo, Tanish, Ainsle. Aiden Hayashkin, no, Clatides, is Sarah late out, Eastern Agency, and House Dandishni. A call. I'm here. The card was John Saudi, on the house, Tani, Sahashi, on his nanny, Eastern Agency, I paid us knee. But Alabayo, nah. I don't die and he tattooed his content, don't forget Eastern Agency, the Macau, yeah. I don't base not under the paid us the Eastern Agency house, nah. I don't, hey, show is not a could BILM, I think he caught the run. I saw the car to Jabaran. She's not coming here, don't say, could I know chocolate can and buffer zone by it here. The never care at times that dinner is like dinner, the millions of that's now agency, but care at the never care. I call it kiss on in Kayot Atlo. Every night, it's not about yesterday, it's a Kado, it's a national. Say not, did that the 100 that's the Than a song, Shashado, I don't care, I don't thank you guys from here to my fellow candidates. I can't.
Candidate Larry Noble.
Good afternoon or good evening. Yatehi, Anido Hilchi, Shikado Senida, not so, on a Sonigi. Larry Noble against Generation Arigost, Aaron at the right up by Chandra Kenebas chain, to the chain it as a null, or to the consuit as a chain. Aro Koden Hani Kragi, he had or into you, Quaho, Nahadahos, Agizaba Hinits, and non Hashin, whether I not Stragi, Edo, Hia, Aaron the company, Enigi, Jada Hassan, Dikun, Nezet. The Nepanani dust or left, the Nepanan, Bansanani, case or late, Hasil, so good never end has Tigi, Eya, Basil, Sado, Hasil, so Nanzini, a past at the least of Bansi, Shot on such case of Decor and Hatan, Lenigi, Lana, Oto, Hosini, say, and Pen, he has been here now, Aki, Nike, Codedo, Skin, Nels, Decor, Staza, Tahija. Oto e do se pa ho sendo le chike no senigi ho ado hia do les konsa o aho e ji ni he an he ta ho ado les chika o je ho ado na ta e se kudon he ka an te shwo e yego e kitin ba ya te ho na hatis nis ya te ho e ko ni gisawi do a cho o chike no senigi oto e be hasti do le so hia.
Let's give a round of applause for all the candidates. We will now begin round one. Questions in this round have been selected from submissions received from students, faculty, staff, and community members. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. When your time expires, your microphone will automatically be muted. We'll be going in the order, starting with Arvin Trujillo. The Navajo Nation faces worsening drought, declining groundwaters, and increasing demand on water resources from large-scale development, including AI data centers and energy products. If elected, how will your administration protect water sovereignty, secure federal climate funding, and balance economic development with the preservation of our land, water, and natural resources for the future generation?
Can you repeat that again?
Yes. The Navajo Nation faces worsening drought, declining groundwater, and increasing demand on water resources from large-scale developments, including AI data centers and energy projects. If elected, how will your administration protect Navajo water sovereignty, secure federal climate funding, and balance economic development with the preservation of our land, water, and natural resources for future generations?
Again, thank you for that question. Looking at water, water is an important resource given its availability. But you've got to have land access, you got to have water, you got to have electrical power, all in a given area. If you don't have that, you'll not see any kind of reasonable economic development or any kind of economic opportunity. Much like fire, you got to have a fuel source, you got to have heat, and you got to be able to have fire in order to start one. Or oxygen. If you begin to look at water, again, with some of the things that I was able to do is utilize water rights. We were able to negotiate water rights with New Mexico. We started the construction of the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project, which was bringing water to the eastern portions of the reservation. We've got the Cutter Lateral done. We're working on the San Juan River Basin portion of that settlement. So again, water is important to bring to our communities. How do we balance that with economic development? We've got to be able to look at the pros and cons and begin to assess each project accordingly. We can do that. There's due diligence. We work with our respective enterprises in order to achieve that, because at the end of the day, we need to begin to look at some type of development and diversify our economy to become stronger. We talk about sovereignty, but you don't see sovereignty if you keep going to the government for money. So we've got to look at sovereignty and how that can develop, and water is a part of that. We can do both. It's not an either-or question. We do the necessary due diligence. We've done it with Navajo Gallup. We've done it with other projects, looking at the mining aspects. And so again, there are things that we can do to really utilize our water efforts. Thank you.
Candidate Frank Diaz Jr.
Yate, Yate, candidates. She'e na keda na nishla te betlejene pashilchin, kiani tashache, do bit anita shanale, ado shije garquida Harrison yineshe, ado chinli de nasha, shamato shije Gary do Janice Harrison Willia. And I'm going to ask a question here. Recent emergencies have highlighted the need for stronger public safety resources across the Navajo Nation. How will your administration strengthen the Navajo Nation Police Department, improve emergency response capabilities, and secure sustainable funding, technology, and partnerships to better protect our communities?
The way we would address that, the Frank Diaz administration, is in a three-prong approach. The first thing is the Navajo Nation is a 638 contractor to the federal government. I'm going to let you know that we had a federal termination policy. Then they started moving to the 638 contract. That's what they issued to us. So in that contract, they have, in 1976, we took over the judicial part of it. Then we took over education, social services. Those are the three areas that we put under 638. So I disagree where we're begging to the federal government for funding. No, they're just giving us what they said that they would do. They're fulfilling their obligation through the 638 contract. Now your question was police. In 1979, they turned over health to us. They also turned over the police. The last thing that they turned over to us is water, pertaining to your last question. So those are all under 638. That's a requirement that the federal government put upon themselves. So what we want to do, we've been a 638 contractor for 51 years. We want to move from that and move to a compact where we have full authority of everything that we want to protect the Navajo Nation on. More specifically, police. What happens is they came down and they said, here's your police. This is how many you're going to get. Well, we're going to do zero-based budget. We're going to request for more. On top of that, we're going to ask for technical assistance from the federal government so they can fund us so we can carry out our obligations. Thank you.
Candidate Andrew Curley. Livestock remains an important part of the Navajo culture and the economy, yet overgrazing, droughts, and concerns about fairness in the grazing permit process continue to challenge producers. What policies would your administration implement to improve grazing management, increase transparency and accountability in permit administration, and ensure grazing permit holders receive the support and resources they need?
Yeah, thank you for the question. This is a very important part of my project, of my platform, running for Navajo Nation President, land reform. We want to rethink this grazing permit system. It's an old logic. It goes back to grazing scientific management that the BIA foisted onto the Navajo people in the 1930s, and we've replicated that year after year after year into our laws. What we need to do is we need to go out and study where families are, take oral histories, get a sense of where people's traditional lands are, and make sure that they have a proper control over that land, and to document that. Documentation is really important for land security, for everybody's land security. Then we need to bring in conservation grazing, conservation principles within grazing. That is key for the future of the Navajo Nation, for the future of our land base, for the future of our sustainability, tying into the sustainable economy. So that's number one on my platform. You can read more about it online, but that is key. That is an important part of my initiative as president, is to look at this land situation. We need it not just for the sustainability, but for homes, for businesses, for bringing development into the reservation. I also wanted to touch on the water question. Water and sovereignty is really key. When we're talking to the state governments, we need to insist on our water rights. We need to study that too. Research is very important for making legal claims for water. We need to demonstrate that we use water all throughout the reservation and take that to the states. One of the problems with the San Juan River settlement is it disallowed water going in from that Gallup supply line to the Arizona communities until all water settlements within Arizona were finalized. That is a disservice to Arizona Navajo communities, and that's wrong, and we shouldn't have that in our water settlement.
Candidate Emily Ellison. Federal policies can significantly impact tribal sovereignty, funding, natural resources, and cultural preservation. If elected, how will you advocate for the Navajo Nation when federal policies threaten our treaty rights, sacred sites, and self-governments? And how will you work with any presidential admissions to protect Navajo interests?
So the federal policy that we're in now is self-determination, which means that the federal government is a partner. They're not trying to oppress us. We have mechanisms to achieve that sovereignty through the 638. With our water, we have water settlements, but you know who's not doing their job? It's your tribal officials. They're not building those buildings. They're not creating those infrastructure. So that water is just flowing through. So don't blame the federal government for what our elected officials are not doing at this point. It's on them. We have to show as a nation that we are adults and we can be responsible with these responsibilities, and we have not shown that. We are too busy picking on each other, playing political games, and not improving our laws. Our laws are foundational for a society. We're in a democratic society right now, but our poverty is high. Because our poverty is high, your elected officials control you. We haven't had a Supreme Court opinion in 5 years. There's no direction. Our legislators, OPP, council, they're too busy taking each other's jobs over. They're not working on the problem, and that's building our society. That's what we need to focus on. So if I am elected, I will make sure those laws are established and updated to where they need to be, and then we will bill, which means you guys will all have employment.
Okay, next candidate Debbie Inez-Manuel. The Navajo Nation faces many urgent challenges, including drought, water security, substance abuse, housing, public safety, and infrastructure. If elected, what would be your top 3 priorities during your first term, and how would you measure your administration's progress in addressing them?
One of the biggest commitments that was made this past administration was I will help the missing and murdered Indigenous victims and families. Again, absolutely no help. They do not have an office. They do not have case management services. They do not have grief support services. We can no longer treat people like this. These people are our relatives, and they're the most vulnerable people we have on the nation. They are searching for support. They've come to the president's office time and time again, and nothing, absolutely nothing has happened. What we need to do is we need to start listening. When we say we're going to do something, we need to take action and carry that out. It doesn't cost us anything to listen to people. It might take time, but those are things we can do. When it comes to substance abuse, addictions, and treatment services, we have some locations, but we need more here on the central part of the nation. When it comes to people with disabilities, there's a lot of people, and there's people in here who have disabilities that we might be able to see them, and many of them we can't. But they need support. They need to be able to get into this building using a ramp, use handles, bars, buttons to push, and to be able to come in here. Right now, the biggest challenge that people with hearing can't hear we're talking. There's no screen here for them to see what we're saying. And as candidates here, we can barely hear what you're saying right now because of the kind of speaker. So when people deal with disabilities, these are challenging. We need initiatives. We need to pay attention to our people and what they're going through. Forming task force, forming committees, and making sure we're carrying these out both here on a school campus, in the government system, and then also in our chapters is really critical. Thank you.
Candidate Myron Lizer. Many Navajo citizens continue to struggle with alcohol and drug addiction, and those who complete treatment often face limited long-term support after returning home. How will your administration expand prevention, rehabilitation, mental health services, and community-based recovery programs to improve long-term outcomes and reduce relapse?
Thank you for that question. And you're right, we do have a lot of behavioral mental health and substance abuse problems on the nation, which is why we should keep our facilities on the nation. And we need to find some way to locate land, whatever chapter will be able to, through their C committee, give us the land that we could build these facilities. Depending on the federal government isn't the plan. We need to find 638 contract grant funding and the faith base, I believe. And so this would be a priority of my administration as I kind of work in that realm as a pastor at my church, reaching out to the community, bringing food, bringing water, and counseling. I'm not a certified counselor, but these issues always seem to surface every Sunday. And if we had a facility that could handle all the problems and the issues and case by case, in other words, have the capacity to address every single person and whatever plight they may be going through, then that would be our priority. But again, that's just one of the priorities that this Lizer administration would have. But I think there's outside the box ways to fix this, and it really lies in the faith aspect. The White House has a faith office, and they have a lot of funding that has kind of been steered away because of what DOGE did and what they steered away from FEMA, what they steered away from USAID. And these fundings are there. I believe if we just bring the ask, and if we ask for 4 facilities, all, maybe 5 in every agency, I would love to focus on that, to bring our young ones home, our counselors, our practitioners, bring everybody home so that they can help their own people, because that's what they want to do. So thank you.
Candidate Tom Chi. Many Navajo families still lack reliable access to paved roads, electricity, clean water, and other essential infrastructure. If elected, what is your plan to expand these basic services, especially for elders and family living in remote communities, and how will you ensure these projects are completed?
Thank you. We all know that the elders of our nation are the gatekeepers of our language, our culture, and they are the spiritual leaders, the spiritual fortitude of our nation. And so therefore, elder services, commitments to them to prolong their life here with us is a critical issue. I think it's one of the best investment a nation can make is in our elders. Without them, there's no longer the language, the history, the oral, the training, the knowledge that they have. So in that sense, it is critical that we begin to look at that and say, how could we be part of their lives? And there is a lot of issues, dollars that could easily be extended for infrastructure. How do we, rather than just feeding them for the noon hour, there should be a citadel for learning the language and the culture of our people as they eat, as they have conversation, all these things that they could pass on to that. So then a question of infrastructure for our elders and other services becomes almost minute. It's on the side. If we get a purpose of why we need to do things in such a way, then cost or building is not a question. It must be done. And so that would be one of the ways to do it. We have a tremendous amount of resources that can be done and can be applied to them. Years ago, there was a study that was done on Navajo Nation, and the question was, what is the most valuable resource that Navajo Nation has? Not the oil, not the minerals, not anything on our land, but the elders. Thank you.
Candidate Justin Jones, if you become president, what is the first thing you would do to improve the support and accommodations for students with disabilities under the ADA Title II in our schools and colleges?
First and foremost, the first thing I would do, I would go ahead and change the Navajo Nation Code and beef it up to ensure that every entity on the Navajo Nation does have ADA compliant ramps, facilities, and etc. That includes the chapter houses. Number two, I would go over to the school districts and the other educational entities such as this, and I would ensure that we have an agreement. One of the major problems that we have on the nation with ADA is that we have ADA students. And one of the problems we have is that a lot of the educational institutions do not want to accommodate those students, even though, for example, workforce development. Those are some of the things that we need to do. Number three, working with these schools under IDEA. One of the first things that we need to do is to go to the school boards and to say, don't discriminate against our disabled students anymore. Because right now, what we have are students that are discriminated against. Even though the law says they need to be part of the regular program, we still have students in seclusion classrooms. So those are the things that we would have to do. And then we are going to have to make sure that we have facilities that can accommodate these disabled relatives of ours. One of the first things that we need to do in order to do that is to ensure that we enforce the Navajo Nation law that protects disabled relatives of ours, because we're not enforcing that right now, and then we are taking advantage of them.
Candidate Crystalline Curley. Economic development can create jobs but may also threaten culturally significant places and natural resources. What is your position on future oil and gas development near sacred sites such as the Chaco Canyon region, and how will your administration balance economic opportunities with the protection of Diné cultural heritage and the environment?
Yeah, Kodashi Yajanai Kidigi oil development in the Chaco Canyon region. And I think I owe a lot to Eastern Agency. One of the first meetings that I held as a speaker was in Nayizi, to hear directly from the community, from the Alatis themselves. We have to be able to listen to our community members and going back out to the impacted areas. First and foremost, there, we approved the resolution for a zero buffer zone, and that position is still in place for the Navajo Nation today. Ado Kodo Alatis, the family that are holding allotment lands here, you should be having the ability, the opportunity to say what you want to do with your land. There should be nobody knocking on your door saying that you can't do this and that. It is your decision. As Alati owners, if you want oil opportunity, if you want a different type of business for economic development, such as a C-store, or if you want any other development that you want on your allotment, that should be your choice. And then as Navajo people, we have been long taking care of Chaco Canyon, times immemorial. No one should be telling us that we are not taking care of our sacred sites. We have already protection on Chaco Canyon, the families that live within that region, the communities, the chapters. You already have things that are already in place to protect that region. So, but however, all the other different land statuses, such as fee land or trust land, that's a different conversation that we need also have to have with our communities, with our nonprofits, with our grassroots organizations, but we all have to come together on these types of decisions.
Candidate Alexander Chambers. If elected, how will you protect Navajo sovereignty, defend the rights of Navajo citizens and indigenous people, and advocate for respectful government-to-government relationships when federal policies or actions affect tribal lands, communities, or citizens?
The United States government has a clause, it's called the plenary clause, Indian commerce, So, meaning they can take our sovereignty, they can take our land at any time. It says it in the U.S. Constitution. That is worst case scenario. So, on the other hand, we need to embrace economic sovereignty to protect our way of life, because Allah Bahazli, our ancestors, they paid the ultimate price for our land here. So those are the facts from the United States government. They have trust responsibility. But at the end of the day, we can lose it. We can lose it all as a nation, as a people. We can lose our identity if we don't embrace economic sovereignty and encourage our people to learn our ways, our traditional culture. In the future, that's what we face as a nation and as a people. So, to embrace that and to utilize that to the fullest extent, because one day it will happen, and we are going to have the right leadership and the right mind to defend our sovereignty. The federal government already has granted us that economic sovereignty through the laws. We just have to embrace it.
Candidate Boo Nygren. Many Navajo citizens face barriers to employment, often being considered either underqualified or overqualified. What specific workforce development, education, and economic initiatives will your administration implement to create quality jobs and ensure fair employment opportunities across the Navajo Nation?
Chubiga here dole why na ide kid khait o na nashin la le de neba Washington sede ya ayana dam edini khait o la yesinal sos tati why na ni to bekahon na nesharot as nene sede nkana neshedelia abahazin ya ni na sos be yode na sos no taho hot o do ban taho do zita hin so hot o sede nkana neshedelia bin dashil nish aro be kero kana bahazin the not sauce in sauce do hit all highla yeshen nenegi hot all to the huilga arona kigone yesinle hit all not nation lenegi babone zarle hodo nine da hot only seria yaneda the neta ne is na ultra isla isebina to tashad no the ebina le washes anji shilchin the has nihon le large bohot nihigi yana slosa hala hot dia yesina neshi la isebina hot na neshi yetidan le no the bilche hilda den spi hot all hilda huil net arosto banna hak bansna hak kes oston le at in na kadaza asla the middle na nishto net ne biche net hayun ke de net do khanat sos ne khide de let ebinina nkhal chindon ke de net an leni har shikhe da hatenegi ash khode he khorin khan do ta so edil was tabato no hot oshin jono do let aroso benye achede dil nege de neba Washington tsere ya iyane da anna hast peso de akede sende kade asho asla ta peso pe wochigo hot tego hotel ya yego basit the neba Washington yanda neshigitego hotel ya hot o asho de ne yedanet lo na nishpada hetest aro to thin yanda neshigi hot o bada ilya ebe ahen dini de le
Candidate Donovan Begay, how will your administration invest in Navajo students and young leaders by providing communication with students, expanding leadership opportunities, creating pathways to meaningful employment, and encouraging college graduates to build their careers within the Navajo Nation?
Yate Nana. One of the things that one of the platforms I had was making sure that if this is possible, if it's not possible, to ensure every student that wants to go to college gets a scholarship to go. There shouldn't be a limit. For the Department of Higher Education has a selection process, and I myself do not know what the criteria is because myself, I actually had a 3.8 grade point average. I thought that was pretty good. I applied, I got rejected, and I wound up having to go to the president's office to get my scholarship. So I don't think that there should be a limitation to what you want to do in life. So one thing is to advocate and do everything possible to ensure that there's enough funding for every student to want to go to college. I think every single one of us, the federal government owes that to us. They have it in our treaty that they're supposed to get us educated. So that's part of what we need to do. We need to get that for every student. Thank you.
Candidate Dr. Jordan Begay, sorry. Navajo law requires the president to provide regular reports to the Navajo Nation Council and the public. If elected, how will you ensure your administration remains transparent, accountable, and fulfills its legal obligations while keeping the Navajo people informed about the progress of your administration?
So in the first 100 days action plan of the Dr. Jordan Begay presidential administration, I believe I was the first candidate to release my 100-day plan on April 24th. So please visit my social media sites and you'll see the plan posted. So in the plan, it clearly states that I will pledge to ensure that I make every quarterly meeting for the Navajo Nation Council. In Title II, as the president, in Title II, it clearly states that the president will provide that report to the Navajo Nation Council and to the Navajo people. So if I were elected as president, I would ensure that I am transparent. Also, in my 100 days action plan, there is a public dashboard. And that public dashboard, our community members, our Navajo tribal members will be able to visit that and see major projects, to see where funding streams that are coming to the nation and how those monies are. Of course, working with the three other branches, working with the legislative, judicial, and executive branch. In my 100 days action plan, number 14 states first public accountability report on day 100. So that's how I would pledge to ensure that our Navajo people understand the current status of the executive branch. I would work with the council delegates to share that information back at the chapter level. We know that the Navajo Nation is very large. We're 27,000 square miles. There are 8 agencies all across eastern, western, northern. I would really ensure that our people understand the activity of the Navajo Nation government and that bi-directional communication, ensuring that we take in consideration, again, what's in the best interest of the people. But it's important to be able to share the information clearly and come back to our communities to give it back to Dineh, Din, Daat, Agi. Thank you, everyone.
Candidate Johnny Russell Jr., what is your long-term vision for creating a stronger Navajo Nation where future generations can preserve their culture, access quality education, find meaningful careers, and choose to build their lives and families within the Navajo Nation?
Can you repeat that question, Ben? There's a lot of too much distortion and we really can't hear it on site.
What is your long-term vision for creating a stronger Navajo Nation where future generations can preserve their culture, access quality education, find meaningful careers, and choose to build their lives and families within the Navajo Nation?
I'm sorry, I really can't hear you. I'm sorry, this is too much distortion on this end. We really can't hear it from this side.
Okay. What is your long-term vision for creating a stronger Navajo nation where future generations can preserve their culture, access quality education, find meaningful careers, and choose to build their lives and families within the Navajo Nation?
Long-term vision, stronger Navajo Nation, future Navajo, quality education. Yeah, long-term vision. What's your long-term?
Economy.
Like stronger for quality education.
All right, thank you. For my colleagues, it's just kind of hard to hear on the side. And the long term for the education, the qualities, I like to keep the education going as long as we can. Although teach our culture words. When we start from preschool, Head Start, pre-K, start from our language, start from there. As we move on into the high school and senior year, that way it won't be only on that is senior time. We start teaching our kids education-wise. So that'll be prolonged. Just keep on pushing it from day one to for long as we can push it out of the economy. Just keep on going as much as we can. Instead of going for it, why don't we go outside the box? Why don't we borrow money from another country and build an economic development for our culture and the economy for the Navajo Nation? Instead of depending on the government, why don't we do that? Instead of depending on the government to get over here from Washington, D.C., based on from another country, we can go from that one. So that would be kind of like a prolonged vision on that. I'm sorry, but it's just kind of hard for us to hear on this side, and it's just that's how it is. Thank you.
Candidate Larry Noble, missing and murdered Diné relatives remains a critical public safety issue. If elected, what specific actions will your administration take to reduce MMDR cases, strengthen coordination among tribal, state, and federal law enforcement, improve investigations, and expand mental health and trauma-informed support services for victims' families? How will you measure the success of these efforts?
I'm sorry to say, but we can't really hear what you're saying. It's not clear.
Missing and murdered Diné relatives remains a critical public safety issue. If elected, what specific actions will your administration take to reduce MMDR cases, strengthen coordination among tribal, state, and federal law enforcement, improve investigations, and expand mental health and trauma-informed support services for victims' families? And how will you measure the success of these efforts?
Thank you for the question. If I hear you right, it's the murdered indigenous women or people issue. I believe we need to increase the law enforcement. There's not too many out there. We hear about it, but it's too late. But we need to be one step ahead and start training our community. So it all goes back to us as individuals. Why do these things happen? How does it happen? ado tiko nhalchin sa kodanis nikisalao po onela nikisalao gi ado pe has ani gi jaya tani takat. We just need to enforce it a little bit more to make it work. So we need to improve on what we need to look for from the law side, from the police side, out from the family side. We need to make it more, I guess in a way, it is a very important issue that we cannot just let it sit here. We have to be proactive.
All right, let's give all of the candidates a big round of applause. That concludes our first round of the forum here. We will take a brief 4-minute intermission here. Right here to my screens, on to my right and my left, and your right.
Institutions and outside organizations accurately represent Diné culture?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I am very wary of artificial intelligence. On my platform, I say no AI, no data centers. As an educator, as someone who works at the university, I see it as being destructive not only on our environment, but our ability to learn. And I really think that it's a bad thing for us. When in terms of your question of language, I think fundamentally non-speakers know the value of language. They hunger for it. They want to learn their Diné language. One thing that we never talk about is how do people get language acquisition? It's from 0 to 2. It's when you're a child. We need to prioritize immersion. We need to create a culture of teaching and talking Diné in our homes, in our schools, in our gas station. This is something that will create fluency among us. And that's something, it needs to be a culture. It can't be something where we feel bad about it. Yeah, I think government should be involved.
Lou? Okay, candidate Johnny Russell Jr. How will your administration support lifelong learning by expanding educational opportunities for both Navajo students and current Navajo Nation employees who are pursuing higher education and professional development?
The future for the education, I would like to have put more money account. It's us. Can you hear it? Oh, anyway, I have more money for the student, the college graduate, going on to the college person. Let them have more tuition money for the college students as they go on to the future to be our future leaders. They can continue their education as they go on into college life and do whatever they want to do in the profession world, so they can come back and help us out here in the Navajo Nation. I'm sorry, but this is Balkanic. I tell you this I don't care. So I like to just give more money to the tuition to help them out to get more funds for the students as they go on into their college careers.
Candidate Emily Ellison. Navajo Technical University has struggled for decades to secure funding for student and faculty housing in Chinle and Crown Point, while the Crown Point community continues to advocate for a hotel in Crown Point to support tourism, economic growth, and university events.
If elected, how will your administration help secure the funding, partnerships, and infrastructure needed to make these projects a reality? And what timeline can the public expect?
In my platform, I have a concept which I've labeled land design. And so you're targeting communities that are heavily populated like Crown Point, Salie, Shiprock, and you do a land withdrawal, you do a zoning, and then you put out residents. You can build 100 condos, 100 ranches, 5-acre ranches, 10-acre ranches, and the Navajo Nation can put the money up to have that directly financed by them. So the same thing could be applied to the university. The big concept about economic development is supply and demand. So right now, there's a lot of interest in building here because our population continues to grow. So we need to support that.
Candidate Larry Noble. Many Navajo students rely on online and hybrid education, but continue to face challenges with broadband access and technology. How will your administration work with NTU, tribal, federal, and private partners to expand broadband infrastructure, improving access to technology, and ensure all students, regardless of where they live, have equal access to higher education?
I'm sorry to say, but can you speak a little bit away from this microphone so I can hear it clear?
Many Navajo students rely on online and hybrid education, but continue to face challenges with broadband access and technology. How will your administration work with NTU, tribal, federal, and private partners to expand broadband infrastructure, improve access to technologies, and ensure all students, regardless of where they live, have equal access to quality higher education?
Broadband, I believe this issue has been worked on for so many years, trying to improve the system for the reservation, and it's not happening. What we need is probably get someone, a company, or our own students that, I mean, you guys that are college students have a very bright idea of how to improve the system itself. So those are some of the areas that we probably need to evaluate and find out, see what we all can do together and do what we need to do to improve that system. Yeah.
Candidate Debbie Manuel. Students often experience delays and communication challenges related to financial aid, billing, and other support services. How will your administration work with tribal colleges and universities to improve student services, communication, and accountability so students receive timely information and assistance throughout their education?
Thank you. Currently, the Navajo Nation Workforce Program, all of the institutions around Navajo Nation, including Diné College, do not have a strategic education plan. A few years ago, I sat with Dr. Guy and we raised this idea along with my staff, and we talked about the importance of making sure that we connect students to jobs that are available here. Some of the major employers we know are Navajo Nation hospitals and schools. What kind of jobs can we create? But in order for students to be successful, we have to make sure that they can write, they can read, and they can comprehend. Those are the critical competencies you need to be successful. But we know today kids deal with emotional and social issues, so those are things that we have to take care of. All of that can go into an educational strategic plan for everyone on the nation, including OFF. Thank you.
Candidate Boo Nygren, as president, how will your administration preserve and strengthen the Diné language, culture, and traditional teachings while supporting educational programs such as the Diné Culture and Language Sustainability PhD program? Additionally, what is your vision of using artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies to benefit the Navajo Nation while Sorry about that, this disruption. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the question. Candidate Boo Nygren, as president, how will your administration preserve and strengthen the Diné language, culture, and traditional teachings while supporting educational programs such as the Diné Culture and Language Sustainability PhD program? Additionally, what is your vision for using artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies to benefit the Navajo Nation while protecting our language, culture, traditional knowledge, and sacred teachings from misuse?
Yate when I de kirigi headovansin case the nebza benahudo after the neck etchin and tinigi to nahon ni hano anigi do last kudo san do mother jad and lenigi head all over ka deal was and she hora is a basis lea the more na out late na tin the hajin the neck etch the ne which honish aron na dizje le na sauce the nebza the ka hoto and the easy out the never care of a car and the never Washington yanda Michigan the never care because that's Lega Salah needed Shiraba the Has the never Salah the Bacadonly art in the Shandal Michigan Asad Bisa and a hot on his other baby not a hot order and Jono that is need out of the old cup in the Has Andrew Quatonly the never Washington old cup in the Has and new had no base or bold car but a whole Yahweh is count such a Bacad Shile Jono the base was under the car is count such a Bacash in the Riga to live.
Candidate Justin Jones. Many administrations have made promises that were never fully realized. How will you organize your administration, work collaboratively with the Navajo Nation Council, and measure progress to ensure your campaign commitments become tangible results for the Navajo people?
First of all, I'm going to be a parent. A father, I raised 3 children. When my daughter or my son and my son, when they begin to argue, I have to separate them. And put them in their place and say, show, hey, but I have to equally tell them that. So the first thing that needs to happen is that they have to go home. Now, whoever the new council is going to be here and whoever the speaker is going to be, show, hey, le museum the whole one, let's talk about what has happened and how to anato nilta ahot abe hilta hodil dedishne.
Candidate Frank Deus Jr. The Navajo Nation relies heavily on federal funding. What specific economic development strategies will your administration implement to create new revenue sources, diversify the economy, and reduce dependence on federal funds?
Reduce reliance on federal funds is your question, right? The way that we would approach this is Navajo Nation has a lot of resources, and I'm going to point to Navajo Indian Irrigation Project. We have not completed that project yet. They're supposed to do 11 blocks. We've only completed 8. The government has an obligation to finish that. That's one piece of economic development and not relying on the government. We can start developing our own economy from that standpoint. Then we have land. We have a lot, again, back to NAPI, Navajo Agricultural Product Industry, the two combined. So the third one is manufacturing, and they're doing that there. So you've got these 3 elements that are already in place to replace a lot of the government funding that we're getting. However, they have an obligation to provide the funds that they're providing.
Candidate Alexander Chambers. Water is essential to the health and future of the Navajo Nation. What is your plan to protect Navajo water rights, secure long-term water resources, and ensure every community has reliable access to safe and affordable drinking water?
The fact is, we talk about water control. You know, it's one of those things that in order for us to have more water, you know, we are going to have to go after the reality that we don't have any. That is the utter stark reality that we're faced with. That's number one. Number two is protecting our water rights and our water control. And so when we talk about water rights, we should also be thinking about the control part of it, which goes along with the infrastructure. And so right now we are in a drought. You know, it's very clear we do not have enough water, but we could have the infrastructure that we could bring more water to residents. Case in point, 6 seconds.
Candidate Dr. Jordan Begay. Many Navajo students face financial barriers that make it difficult to complete their education. How will your administration expand scholarships, financial aid, graduate student support, affordable housing, mental health services, and other resources to ensure students can earn their degrees without financial hardship? Additionally, how will you protect scholarship funding while maintaining the nation's financial responsibilities?
Great, thank you for the question. Education is definitely an important pathway for our Navajo people to take. Di olkaki IC din hit din ep yek in the da. Eight area bebesel other nanish aya showed chidol ish. So as far as my administration, if elected as the next Navajo Nation President, I would work to increase scholarship opportunities. Again, we know we have the Office of Navajo Nation Scholarship Financial Assistance who does a great job. We have to thank our ONSFA department who does fund our Navajo college students currently. We just have to continue to encourage our students to apply. Our Diné College and Navajo Technical University are doing a great job as far as offering programs locally here for our Navajo people. So please attend your tribal controlled universities. I know I have a colleague here in the room who attended the NTU nursing program, and she's a registered nurse. If we could increase those programs, we could definitely make our Navajo Nation stronger.
Candidate Crystalline Curley. Substance abuse, mental health challenges, and limited access to treatment continue to impact many families. How will you expand healthcare services, rehabilitation programs, and prevention efforts across the Navajo Nation?
How to expand mental and behavioral health services on the Navajo Nation. So first and foremost, many of our treatment centers and prevention centers, intervention centers need to be on the Navajo Nation. So if you look at our statistics, many of our young people go through mental health issues, suicide prevention. I know it's a hard subject to talk about, but it starts with awareness campaigns, being able to know that there is a support system there for our relatives. You know, they feel alone. We have to make sure we have to be able to have a president that is showing compassion and love. That's the first step. Second is having communication trainings across the board for all of our executive programs, for our schools, our healthcare centers that are culturally appropriate as well. Shahed.
Candidate Arvin Trujillo. Many Navajo students leave the nation to pursue education and employment and do not return because of the limited career opportunities. What specific actions will your administration take to create internships, workforce partnerships, and career pathways that align higher education with the Navajo Nation's workforce needs and encourage graduates to build their careers at home?
You know, bringing our young people back is a ways to bring our kids back. You're going to come back and work for the Navajo Nation X number of years. That way we can get them into the government process. They begin to learn the process. We can also look at workforce development. How do we begin to train our individual young people, those that are in college and those that don't want to go to college? How do we train those individuals to look at the trades? And then start looking at job creation. You know, we talked about Nappy. We're looking at Raytheon. We're looking at bringing a railroad from the Four Corners area. Again, looking at these opportunities to bring new jobs to the region so our kids have an opportunity to develop a career here and look and develop their families here. So again, those are things that we can begin to do right.
Candidate Myron Lizer. Given the educational promises made through the Treaty of 1868, what unmet needs do you believe should be prioritized, and how would you address it? How will you hold the federal government accountable for meeting its treaty responsibilities related to education and educational resources for Navajo students?
Thank you for that question. A former Assistant Secretary Indian Affairs had proposed before he left to turn the BIE school system into academies. And I really think there's an idea there that needs to be explored, especially now when BIE is being sundered and even the United States public school system is being challenged. This is the time that we could carve out a niche that would feed the BIE system with the help of the Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs and also the Secretary of the Department of Interior to go that route and to turn all BIE schools into academies where they can flourish, where there's a new focus to help bring Indian country out of the third world standards that we have, that we're experiencing right now. So I just think it's outside the box thinking, utilizing the current trajectory of where education is going right now, we can make our schools the academies that they could be.
Candidate Tom Chi. Many elders must leave the Navajo Nation to receive nursing or long-term care. What will your administration do to expand home health care, assisted living, and elder services so our elders can remain in their communities?
هذا الشيء دوت أبغاكو بدايلني هذا باخياكو شنايك أدات إيغو نهزا إذا تقولي خمالي خنال دايو أجدي دا تدا يسيتو بأهنة دا زبان تدي كيسكو نيك مسانة نيك تشيدا هذا الشيء جبنا دا غن شارشن شادو غاش إنزنكو أكودا ديز أوليش شنتو جيجو باتا تو نهويسنادا نات أني داني تليدو دا دي تليكو إذا بيجو تسكيسو حتى ديلنيسي بندي داكو بندي نيكاكو بندي يادا تيكو بادا هويليادو ليش جو هت أبان تسكيس نيكي زاريو تخا نيكي سودزن نيكي نهاغاتا.
Thank you once again to our candidates. For round 3, it'll be a rapid fire community round. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question. These questions represent issues frequently raised by members of the Navajo Nation. Again, microphones will automatically mute when time expires. First candidate, Arvin Trujillo. Public confidence depends on ethical relationship. What standards of ethics, accountability, and public service will you require for your administration, political entities, and tribal offices?
Looking at ethics, that's an important point for myself. Being sincere and honest is one of my core values. Teamwork and team development. I look at strategic planning. I look at those priorities that need to be met. And looking at how we develop performance, because what I see right now is an issue of performance. How do we begin to work with our employees to up their performance level? How do we work with them to develop budgets and work with those budgets so that we can communicate with our communities very clearly so you know where your money is being spent and what results are getting resolved by that spending. Not being afraid of what that answer may be, but being honest and sincere and working with the council in the same manner. Now knowing that we won't agree on everything, but finding common ground that we can be.
Candidate Donovan Begay. How will you invest in Navajo youth by expanding educational opportunities, scholarships, leadership development, internships, and involvement in tribal government?
We talk a lot about the education of our students. It starts from when they're first enter school, preschool, and I think that's where we need to really focus. You talk about the NEPAZOD. That is very important. I think it needs to be statewide. I think that's really important. We have to work with other school districts to say that this is a Navajo student right here. We have a right to educate them because that's an agreement we had with the U.S. government to keep ourselves educated in that way. And as we continue on all the way through high school into college, the Navajo Nation does need to open up internships within the Navajo Nation office. So there needs to be a certain amount of opportunities for all students.
Candidate Johnny Russell. Many communities continue to struggle with poor roads, water access, broadband, housing, and other basic infrastructure. What are your top infrastructure priorities, and how will you deliver measurable progress during your term?
Oh, yeah, the infrastructure. I think the first thing we got to do is get the housing done. Out of some of these roads, infrastructure, the roads get done that are not paved on Eastern Agency side. AI, you said that team at the Atlanta, especially around Counselor area in 46, 1947, 1974, no, after this street, at the place, so I like to have that paved sometime in the next 4 years. I'll just maybe build houses for our family, and I'm a specialist in drywall and building, so we can go that route and get the buildings going as quick as we can, not spending out money to other companies out here. Our nation can build our own houses. We have the backbone for that. I call it the base of bundle, so they can subcontract and they can do all that stuff on their own instead of bringing other in.
Candidate Crystalline Curley. Many candidates have ambitious plans with ARPA funding ending, trust funds declining, and limited financial resources. How will you realistically fund your priorities without selling Navajo assets or increasing debt?
Thank you, Kadosh, for the question right here. Based on experience, I don't know how many of the candidates do know what our funding allocations look like. You already have it as an appropriator. We have many trust funds that are put in place. We have different restrictions for those trust funds. So a lot of the times when we're talking about our own money, our general funds, the 638 funding, there has to be a flow of knowledge that a leader that already knows what those processes are. So a lot of the times, even for your investment portfolios, where do we think we get all of our revenues? Many people think that is from our natural resources. That's actually not. We are actually gaining a lot of the interest from our trust fund that is keeping the government moving. So when we look at different projects, we need to go back to the home level and say, how do we support our own Navajo businesses? The answer is there. It's our children. Our children can be able to give those opportunities and run those businesses and give back.
Candidate Myron Lizer. Only a portion of Navajo chapters have achieved Local Governance Act certification. How will you strengthen chapters, promote local economic development, and improve communication between the Navajo Nation government and local communities?
Thank you for the question. I believe that every chapter should seek to become an LGA certified, simply for the fact that the long tentacles of Big Navajo would be kind of alleviated. So, but obviously council and executive branch and judicial branch need to convene on a policy that would allow this. And readily, case in point, the case argument against this is what happened with Shanto and the Medallion Enterprises being squeezed out of the hotel there that they brought, which is La Quinta Inn, that was brought under the auspice of Medallion Enterprise and now given to Navajo Hospitality Enterprise. It was such a roundabout way that it showed the inefficiencies of our present system right now, that the true measure of a business and how it can aspire to bring in a top chain like Wyndham Hotels and subsequently a La Quinta Inn needs to be able to be afforded for all.
Candidate Boo Nygren. Drug trafficking, violent crimes, and missing and murdered Indigenous people continue to affect our communities. What comprehensive strategy will your administration implement to improve law enforcement, emergency response, investigations, and victim support while measuring results?
Yat hurun naide kirgi hate o lanle de nebe da hoya don le de nebe Washington salada because aniki hate o la hajol kendi isho ho ere na sos khadi shlaga ashore he ano ten na hoy ahi betes ajo salada betes ajo le Washington da betes da nishigin jono as case ne lo da de li no hot o na sos khadi ya aro to le asa da moye dan de sab sasilni go hate o la hajol ke no ta do din le de che de nenda o kha to che de ne hadin thai na sos ha ish eben ye badan ni chen din da aita into you bes khada de a khisin da dil nesh hot o jono na sos hin te to be ka da in shigi nanigi ado to le de ne Washington a large shifas anigi la shanna nesh a hui chin la hot o de ne yisin da ende do khan net ne hot on jono ta in nish da ban ses case a hot endet at a khayut at na hot igi asia hot o so ben nada dil listen kidini do lesh.
Candidate Alexander Chambers. The executive, legislative, and judicial branches must work together to serve the Navajo people. How will you strengthen relationships among all three branches while maintaining accountability and respect for their separate roles?
Hello. First of all, number one, we would go to Gallup and have a buffet and sit down and eat. Food solves everything. I know that because I used to run a restaurant. Have a steak. But in all seriousness, let's face reality. No matter what you do, even in business, even on a personal relationship, you will always have disagreements, no matter what. So there's personal disagreements, there's business disagreements, there's government disagreements. Those are the facts. But what is clear is when we forget about our Navajo people. That's what we should be focused on as leaders. Not stuff that is, not stuff that doesn't matter. So I believe if we put focus back on the Navajo people, that's where we should go.
Candidate Larry Noble, many communities continue to face challenges related to checkerboard land, housing shortages, and land access. What solutions will your administration pursue, including your position on a future land exchange?
Checkerboard area. I guess one way to clarify things is it for the ranching or just community uses with this checkerboard areas? I think each sections has its own policies to work with. So if you're talking about the ranches, I would say that I know the ranches, some of the ranch owners get compensated every 10 years. But that's too long. To me, that's too long. If we can reduce that to at least 5 years at a time, people would at least have something to spend on their needs every 5 years. Other than that, checkerboard area, it's kind of difficult. If you're on the Navajo Nation land, you're okay. But
Candidate Tom Chi. There are concerns that AI should become a new mechanism of cultural erosion or digital colonization. What would your administration do to ensure that the impact of AI reinforcement our Navajo cultural language and values rather than eroding them?
Could you repeat the question, please? Thank
Yes.
you.
There are concerns that AI could become new mechanisms of cultural erosion or digital colonization. What would your administration do to ensure that the impact of AI reinforcement our Navajo cultural knowledge and values rather than eroding them?
Sha thata hasnel the never hindish beshindish jabnet has tile eke hohasi. The sacredness, the long held reverence for our sacred prayers, our sacred thinking, the words that have been out there among our people. What the artificial intelligence does, just all these kind of thinking and put it into a form to sell, basically to make money after us access to information, whether they're truth or half lies. A lot of our intelligence of our people could be scooped up like that and be a threat to the existence of our nation, our thought pattern, our livelihood, our sacred prayers. I think at all times and everything at our disposal, we should protect our intellectual knowledge.
Candidate Debbie Nez Manuel. The Navajo Nation has faced many of the same challenges for decades. What will your administration do differently to create lasting change? And what measurable outcomes should the Navajo people expect by the end of your first term?
Testing. By the end of my first term, I want to make sure that we have improved communication, both by phone, by text, by email, making sure that we have strategic plans in place. In the very beginning, I want to assess all of our grants. What's the status of it? What is the reporting that has been done? How much money do we have to spend and what are those timelines? Every single thing we do, we have to check in, make sure that everything is moving along. If we are behind in reports, why? And how do we work that out with whoever the funding source is? When we look ahead at our local governance, when it comes to chapters, we need to restore local governance. In the state of New Mexico, we have so much funding that comes through to Eastern Agency, and it just sits there. It doesn't move, it doesn't go anywhere. So we need to approve the Eastern Agency Council headquarters. Thank you.
Candidate Justin Jones. Language learning often stops when youth leave the reservation for jobs. How will you create economic incentives or remote jobs that allow our fluent young people to stay home and teach the language?
One of the realities that we have to face today is that a lot of our children, they want to stay over there. So just because they want to stay over there, we discriminate against them as well. They have every right to any benefit out of here. So that's number one. We have to admit that to ourselves. Number two is the fact that we have to make the positions available to them. We say we have jobs. Look at DPM just the other week. We have 7 pages of vacant positions there. Now, when we have children that graduate from NTU, they put in their application, and what do we tell them? You're not qualified, or you're overqualified, whatever the hell that means. Because we have been victims to a lot of those. So we have to give them a shot. The only way a person is going to get qualified is going to be the fact that we have to give them a shot, opportunities. That's where we need to begin.
Candidate Emily Ellison. Artificial intelligence is transforming education, healthcare, business, and government. What is your vision for AI within the Navajo Nation, and how would you partner with Navajo Technical University to ensure AI becomes a positive force while protecting the values, culture, and future workforce opportunities?
Artificial intelligence is coming. It's here. We can say no to it, the rest of the world's gonna say yes. They're already building data in the ocean floor, okay? That's like us saying, we don't want any trucks. We're just gonna ride our horses. No. What we need to do as a nation is create these laws that protect our identity. And that means copyright. That means making sure that they're protected by federal laws and international laws. We as Indigenous Native American people are leaders in this realm. That's the only way we're gonna move forward. But to do that, we need a government that functions. And to do that, we need to eliminate corruption. So how do we eliminate corruption? We create laws that punish these people.
Candidate Frank Dayesh, what motivated you to pursue a career in leadership? And how did your own experiences as a student shape the way you lead today?
I attended San Juan College. Then I also went to New Mexico State University. Then I went to University of Maryland. And so the way that I got my education was I had to tap into the military resources. But that expired really quick. And it became very difficult for me to continue my education because of the expenses. And one way to tackle that is to do cooperative education. And that's what I would propose for the Navajo Nation. It's cooperative education. We would bring our students back here to the Navajo Nation so they can learn their culture, then also gain some funds so that they can go back to school for the next semester so they don't fall in debt. And that's my experience. And I'd like to bring that here so that we can help our students. And that's part of my platform. Again, Frank Dayesh, position.
Candidate Andrew Curley. The Navajo language is prioritized as the primary language, but why do you think the English language is used to communicate?
I'm going to ask for a repeat of the question. Sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
The Navajo language is prioritized as the primary language, but why do you think the English language is used to communicate?
Why do I think the English language is used to communicate? It's an effect. It's an effect of colonization. It's an effect of boarding schools. It's an effect of being in a capitalist economy that demands English as its language. It's not only impacting the Navajo Nation, it impacts Spanish speakers in New Mexico, right? Those Hispanic communities are no longer speaking Spanish. It's a global language that's having impact all over the world. What we need to do is we need to strengthen our language sovereignty. We need to prioritize immersion as a source of language. We need new Dene language learners. We need new children that are being born need to be taught and exposed to Dene language. That's how we preserve it. That's the way of cultural continuity. Also, I want to say ditto to Tom Chi's answer on AI. I agree with him on that. So that's with my last 8 seconds. No AI, I think it's a threat to our culture. I think it's something that can just pick things up and put it out of context. And I think
All right, let's give another round of applause to all our candidates here. Akia do leta kudo eya dabade kido kudo naholji don the daya shi kudo di sa wadna hiki shi kudo banardo aso kudo di de hiki shi ahan so the asai tahalzino shi kudo nehich yada skidole. At this time, we'll be giving each candidate 1 minute each for their closing statements. We'll start off at the far end and make their way back over here. Mr. Larry Noble.
First of all, into you, Ado halane sa ya is last soy no se. Thank you for my freedom. Nikin na che is has hodo. Ado neta no so nihin. Bis not agita so o diko position 7 kunna ya ita setta. Ado hilinta di nish. Doit ashidentish nishta. Anil Tropeswas, Anadot Has Nildan, Lenny Land Board, the Quishido, Hayunat, Anil Kit, Hantae, Anil Troket, Batki, Kregot or Nil, Asago Edo Bigata, or I don't hitch a nunch out of the chicken or Senigi.
Candidate Johnny Russell Jr.
Yat I want to thank my Lord Jesus Christ and then I hear if you get a niece eat on it, Ahuna, see Tanido, Chicago, the whole, the Nebuchadnezzar, out at the Navajo Nation. I don't want to thank Chris and my son, Tista. That's my campaign crew. I out of my sister Jeanette and Melvin for supporting me and out of being my campaign. Like I said earlier today, these are the Pepsi, Coke, and Dr. Pepper. I'm the Shasta. I call it I'm the grassroots. I don't 14, I don't care. Skater to National. I want to cut skater don't eat out
Dr. Jordan Begay.
Yes, thank you again. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to Navajo Technical University for hosting the forum. On July 21st, I ask all 427,000 Navajos to vote for ballot position number 9, Dr. Jordan Begay, to become your next Navajo Nation President. It's definitely a humbling experience, and I'm really glad that the Navajo Election Administration reported this past Monday that there are 22,000 new registered voters. Please continue to practice. Please continue to vote. Vote on July 21st. If I vote for your president, your council delegate. If you're in Arizona, we have the primary election. We know that our former Navajo Nation president is running for Congress. That's important. Going back to my 100-day plan, number 8 talks about federal task force mobilization. Wouldn't it be awesome to have a Navajo at Congress and have the Navajo Nation work directly with them? Yes, vote Dr. Begay.
Candidate Donovan Begay.
Thank you, everybody, for having me here and the rest of the candidates. And, this is a tough road to be on. And it takes a lot to get out there. It takes a lot of money. And some people have a lot of financial backing. I don't know where they're getting that money from, but I wish I had some of that for my campaign. But anyway, everybody, is doing the best they can. And we don't know all the answers, right? So we're doing the best that we can with the answers. And hopefully, if whoever gets into that position really gets out there and helps everybody who needs help. The students, the elderly, the veteran, and that's why we're there. We're there sitting in that desk in the office of the president. And when you come into the office, we have to be able to get up and say, yes, may I help you? And service is really going to be a big thing for our campaign. So, everybody, thank you for coming.
Dr. Boo Nygren. Yate, aro nahiso tfanigi do hwet nesa no lenigi aro hwet do teneban abin yete no jegi hehe asa no tanigin khidini na yisin joniye khoron kin hat do de nedo dat aniksin khada jo don khat so do zindo yo dan hidot ni go hwan kijin da son neligi hehe do is hehe do le aro horo kede be khadestegi le na nishite lian le tsere dada deskalo anda iliado de kuigushi hawan and dasi nilatin bin dasil niz nil on a bit was the space that she that ilgad le loud of the has hada hodeliado nike Washington nahites na sere to hashio hot o sa ande honet not ani da so slag asho that the aro ashon that the nishe e hot o ta ilga tika dinana khege balla ho that the hawan to best chi da hot ergi na nista tibeta de ni kliniki e hot o that the lead buna ginda no da riamos.
Alexander Chambers.
Yate Shahastri Shazani. Dede ya. Hojo Bridget Dahandika. Yat Egi Bridget Dahandika. Eye Bahayosna ya Dede. Hojo Yegi. Nahat Ayat Egi. Ado Nsahakis Yat Egi. Ahwinte E Ageria. Nihebehz ane edo bi bakada. Hojon David Bakaya. Ado ochi Adon Sakis de Ninegia E Agid Oko E Ajagovich Dahandika Ajago Dain Hanjun Kojige E Badahat Zedegit Eya Edo Baahni Zinda Ado Do Hajol Doch El Ondo Baahunil Zinda Ya Ako even in a she dinahat a ebast git a
Crystalline Curley.
Oh, yat to she Crystalline Curley. Nashya. I am position number 16 on the ballot. And first and foremost, thank you to NTU students. First of all, my priorities do want to clean up the office of the president and vice president. And on the record, a lot of those projects wouldn't have been possible without council's planning and appropriations. And I really encourage all of our people to really look at the characters of the candidates and also look for the honesty and the integrity. And also for our youth, remember, do not let any of these candidates tell you you don't belong in leadership. Never let them put you down that you're too young to be a leader. And last but not least, to the Sanis, it's our time. It is our time.
Justin Jones.
In the yellow world, the women got mad at the men and the men got mad at the women. And look what happened. In 13 days, you have a choice. Either to stay status quo, continue the corruption. Corruption is in the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. All three. We're in denial about it. 24 million is still missing today. I don't care how you try to cover it up, it's still missing today.
Candidate Tom Chi.
Adon harchende koe dainos tragon dan hidas kedigi atod aisiba hiasen. Adon hinant kodo Dr. Elmer Guy do shohot egon hat sidne lonko ayonod neno ultra deji e hebe da nidole. Ado kodeshik en lede da huis ade daisot sai. She chainin de sodezenes art de do be anjet ida. She yin rout as a sodezen rout yin do chenida. Ndit o yin nedelian goben such a case. Is that the never sodezeni be stachel clear that you nina kot ego nikide any kid. Ado kodo Eastern Land Board that no senido New Mexico the kid out any Utah. Ado Arizona at eta hilt ego nakhansi kes go tanit edole akhe.
Myron Lizer.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Are you tired of the fractional feuding that's going on? I tell you, if you elect me as the next president, we're going to restore order, and we're going to get back to doing business the right way on the Navajo Nation. I want to have a plan to bring jobs to the Navajo people. People are talking about economic development. I'm doing it. What with opening up 2 stores, we have a plan, and I want to impart that to you. I don't have a minute that can give you our whole elaborate plan, but I want to tell you that we have the experience, our team, and we have the commitment to make sure that the Navajo Nation shines bright on the world stage. And if you vote Myron Lizer, position 1, look no further. Oh.
Debbie Nez Manuel.
Thank you. Thank you to our students for organizing a really great forum. And thank you again to our veterans out there who gave us and some lives we lost to be able to speak as we do today and the freedoms to do as we do today. I really want to acknowledge the fact that honesty, integrity, and character are critical parts of your personality that start when you're a young child and you grow. When you make mistakes, those mistakes shape you. They help you to understand the difference between right and wrong. Today, when we look across the nation, we can spot those individuals who are struggling with what that means and the impact it's placing on our families today. Every single elder that I've talked to in the past month have described challenges they're facing. Many students have come over and said, Debbie, can you help us with this? I want to do that as your Navajo Nation President. Candidate
Emily Ellison.
Woo! That's a lot of hypocrisy here. A lot of hot air. Elect me one more time so I can squander your money, is what they're telling you. Nothing has been addressed in the last 4 years. They've appointed their buddies. They've given them raises. They've hired their relatives. All the programs, they've put their friends up on the #1 list. That's what you're voting for if you want the status quo. But if you don't want the status quo, don't vote for the ones that are in office right now. I also would like to add, women belong in all places decisions are made. No one is higher, no one is lower, we are equal. What we need in this government is truth, and that's what we're lacking. Thank you.
Andrew Curley.
Yeah, at here Bilagana Nishle Hanagani Bashachin Bilaganda Shacheki Ani Dalshinale. Thank you, NTU, for being a wonderful host. Thank you for the students, faculty, staff, audience members. Thank you very much for whichever candidate you support. We are met at a great and important point in our history where we need to make a decision about the future of the Navajo Nation. Let's put our past politics behind us. Let's put our grievance politics behind us. Let us build a vision. Let us build a vision of sustainability, a sustainable economy, sustainable development. Let us prioritize Eastern Agency and the issues that you have here. We want to create a hub here in Crown Point. Education, technology. This is a central point of that. All you students are learning this stuff here. I know I said stuff about AI, but I'm still impressed by what the stuff students are doing here. We have an ambitious platform because we deserve ambition. Let's move forward.
Frank Davis Jr.
Frank Davis Jr. as Tagwan at Asata Sada Yohnes. Benina negative street by Yashki. Yaha 80 Ashladin Kayahot, so Hoskibit seat at Skogi. Yaha a Kagish Tijibet the Inson. Ebony Nano Ahit, so Yish Art. Yaha 80 Otkatnas Nelego, NTU Gitat, Egit and College. koje nkhin khata ol khagi at yai skobik endet ot zohne halait asa peso arona hat ahagi basan nel nkhelno honza ho holjish ko yaha to tadadeti ni shigo yaha ko di kadaita hasthat mil ban na nschagi NTU nana the net college do hot aro scholarship yaha 7 million ban na ako at yaha na kidita khana nil te lo bandati net sit nebenant asleo jo hot ain kinan sitati ne la
Arvin Trujillo.
Yeah, my main focus is to restore a government that works for you. Our people deserve a government that listens, responds, and produces desired results. That's what you're looking for. That's why you're frustrated. We're talking about change, but again, we're ready to blow everything up. We need to be looking at how we begin to develop a management system and how do we begin to look at leadership. By doing those things and getting our people involved and motivated, we can accomplish great things. We have tremendous potential, but we haven't tapped it yet. We're angry with each other. We haven't tapped that potential. So let's strive. Work with me. Let's do this together. I've got the experience and 40-year career. Join me, Arvin Trujillo.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause to our candidates up here. Engineer Kudon Hahadasi, Nifche bin das Kiriki, Kudon National Kiriki, Arnold Skonihisto, Yat Edan Hiri Nidole, Tonda Daya, Aquenza Jishi Eta Iliadole, Atato Lo, Zona Sotalsa. Nanta Sawashma. Kodoshi Eya, Solizan Linigi Eya Kurobe Alia. Adon the Dayak at Solizan Linigi Eya Belch, Wandolni. Hala Eya did Solizan and Linigi Eya, the Napikea Nas Sogo. Adon Daya Nihi Salal So, Nihi Salal Dan Linigi, Nahalchen Dan Oseligi, Nahalchen Eya Dan No Yeligi. Eya kudo dit solizan linigi eya be benacha welch ngodol nil akobenacha eya a hadani hidi nidole kudo ta anishiki Navajo Technical University ni moderators dan linigi administration student senate faculty and staff volunteers security personnel media representatives facility and information technology staff do community members anotsko Go a had and he needle. Kodo deep and nudge a ya aliagi do a ya benahat adits nihit a can linigi, student senate president, Naha large at the sata, do and the ya region a ya student region and law a ya the sata do Haisha a ya kudo niha away nihit a can linigi, Shania Watson, Badahudil also kudo a ya, Solizan and linigi a ya kudon hayadotsi. Shania Watson, come on up here, please.
Yat Bennett, how's everyone enjoying the forum so far? We're almost done. Thank you to our candidates for accepting the invitation and being here today with us. As we conclude the gathering, we thank you for bringing us together. In a good way, we are grateful for the opportunity to hear one another, learn from one another, and reflect on the future of the Navajo Nation. We ask you for your blessing upon our leaders, our community, our elders, and our youth. Grant wisdom and strength to those who serve our people. May their decisions honor our values, protect our sovereignty, and create opportunities for generations to come. We give thanks for Navajo Technical University, its mission to honor Diné culture and language while educating for the future. May we continue to carry our teachings forward while preparing for future leaders to serve our nation. with knowledge, integrity, and respect. Help us continue walking in Hojong, seeking harmony, balance, and beauty in all we do. We leave this place, watch over us, and grant us safe travels home. May beauty be before us, behind us, above us, and all around us. Najona hasli, najona hasli, najona hasli, najona hasli, ahyehe.
Ahun sogo ya di aniki adalia doleton daya ya doleton anolsko. This concludes our 2026 Navajo Nation Presidential Forum hosted by Navajo Technical University. We want to thank all of our presidential candidates, guests, volunteers, and everyone who joined this evening. We wish you all a safe journey home. Aheha and good night.